Hello guys, this is Gerard Ntonka's TV and my name still remains Gerard Ntonka. I am a computer analyst and an instructor. I am going to teach one or two things to us today. Please, if you are a subscriber on this channel, we wish you the best. What we mean is that you will learn and gain a lot from this teaching. This is why I prepared this lesson very, very, very well and simple. And I'm going to present it so that you can go over and over and over it at your time. Watch the video all the time and you will understand a lot, because I am going to go into this teaching step by step. Just listen and follow our descriptions and the diagrams. Also, the video that we will end the lesson with. Share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. It will do you so much good. You will not regret it. Let's dive into the lesson. Now I am going to explain whatever I am showing you here, line by line and one after the other, so that you will understand very, very, very well what we're about to teach you. As a PC technician, it is very important that you understand the basic components that make up a computer. What is this basic component? The computer you carry about, the computer you know, is divided into two main parts: the hardware and the software. The hardware is the physical component you see and you can touch, while the software is the instruction. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it. That is why we're going to explain this very, very, very well. These basic components that make up a computer, as I said earlier, is divided into two main categories: hardware and software. What is the hardware? A hardware refers to the physical components that are installed inside or connected to a computer system. By itself, hardware can't do much. It needs instruction to tell it what to do. And these instructions come from the software. Software refers to the instruction or data that are stored electronically, either on a hard drive or on a special chip. In this lesson, we will look at the various hardware components that comprises a computer, things the hardware perform, like the input, processing, storage, and output. Based on the four main functions the hardware performs, like the input, the processes, and the storage. We are going to teach all this hardware one after the other. Like we have 3 of them here, the main 3 hardwares here, the keyboard, the mouse, and the touch screen. And this is what they perform. We are talking about the input device, which the keyboard, the mouse, and the screen touch or touch screen are going to tell us how the input works. Because that is the hardware that is going to tell us what is input. Though we will, as we go on, we will explain other hardwares that take care of the storage, take care of the processing, take care of the output. But today we are going to talk the one that takes care of the input, which is the keyboard, the mouse, and the touch screen. Now, how do the keyboard does its job? The keyboard works in this way. When you press a key on your keyboard, or when you click a mouse, or when you tap a touch screen, or when you push a button on a game controller, or even when you speak into the microphone, all these are the examples of input. What you are doing is input. Therefore, an input device is any piece of hardware, like the keyboard is a piece of hardware, the mouse is a piece of hardware, and the touchscreen is a piece of hardware that takes information from outside because someone operates it. Then that is from the outside, the computer, and then we transfer that input inside the computer where the hardware that is inside the computer can use it. When a key on a keyboard is pressed, that is how it works. There is an internal chip, and this internal chip is called scamming chip. This scamming chip identifies which key that you pressed, and then it will send the appropriate code to the computer. And what do the computer do when it receives this code? When the computer receives this code, it could generate a letter in a Word document. If you are someone doing Word document typing something, or a number in the spreadsheet, or a command for the computer to operate on, when this code comes in, it will send a signal into your system. This is how the keyboard works. Another input device is the mouse. You can see here is the mouse. What is the mouse? A mouse also uses input, but use the input in a different way because it also sends an electrical signal to the computer, but it does it in a different way because a mouse tracks movement, and that movement that the mouse tracks is in this form, like X, Y coordinates. That is how the mouse movement moves. Mouse moves, the pointer will follow on that same manner. That is how the mouse operates. The way the mouse tracks movement depends on the type of the mouse. We have 2 types of mouse. We have optical mouse and we have mechanical mouse. This is the diagram I'm telling you, that this is how the signals move, either from the keyboard or from the mouse into the computer, that will later store the whatever information is sent into your system. Another type of a mouse is a mechanical mouse. A mechanical mouse uses a track ball that the user rolls to move the mouse pointer. The trackball has sensor to identify which direction the ball rolls. This is the diagram of the mechanical mouse. You can read it also, and it will explain you more better. After this, we'll go to touch screen. Another input device you are also probably familiar with is a touch screen. If you have used a smartphone, a tablet, or computer kiosk, you have used a touch screen. Instead of the key presses or movement tracking, a touch screen takes user input from screen tabs in a different way. It doesn't do like the keyboard and the mouse. So there are two main touch screen technologies: resistive and capacitive. Resistive use two flexible layers. You can see it here. Flexible layers that are separated by a gap. Inside the gap is an electrical current. When the screen is tapped with your finger, the outer layer depresses and contacts the inner layer, creating an electrical signal that identifies the XY coordinates, as I show you in the diagram. The coordinates are then sent to the computer. That is how it works. Then the capacitive touchscreen uses a screen that is coated with conductive material. An electrical current is then run through the material. When something conductive touches the screen, such as finger, small sensor identify the touch and generate XY coordinates. Capacitive touch screen are used on smartphone, tablet, and some laptops because they require a conductive touch. A non-conductive object such as gloves or plastic can be used to tap the screen. Resistive touch screen are typically used for airport or library kiosk because they require only pressure. Any rigid object can be used to tap the screen. This is exactly how capacitive touchscreen works, of which you know and you have your phone. This is how it works. So let us just listen to this small clip. It will tell you how this moves. It will add more explanation of what I just explained to you. Just listen to it, follow it carefully. It's just a short video.
An input device is any piece of hardware that takes information from outside the computer and transfers it inside where the computer hardware can use it. The most common input device is a keyboard. A keyboard takes user inputs and sends them as electrical signals to the internal computer hardware where they are processed. When a key on a keyboard is pressed, an internal chip called a scanning chip identifies which key was pressed and then sends the appropriate code to the computer. The code could generate a letter in a Word document, a number in a spreadsheet, or a command for the computer. Another very common input device is a mouse. A mouse also uses inputs and sends them as electrical signals to the computer, but it does so a bit differently. A mouse tracks movements as XY coordinates. These coordinates are sent to the computer, which causes the mouse pointer to move in the same manner. The way a mouse tracks movement depends on the type of mouse being used. The most common type is an optical mouse. An optical mouse uses a light source and a sensor to track movement. A less common type is a mechanical mouse. A mechanical mouse uses a trackball, which rolls when the mouse is moved, along with sensors to identify which direction the ball rolls. Chances are you are very familiar with using these two input devices. Another input device you are probably familiar with is a touchscreen. If you've used a smartphone, tablet, or a computer kiosk, you've used a touchscreen. Instead of key presses or movement tracking, a touchscreen takes user input from screen taps. There are two main touchscreen technologies, resistive and capacitive. Resistive touchscreens use two flexible layers that are separated by a gap. Inside the gap is an electrical current. When the screen is tapped, the outer layer depresses and contacts the inner layer, creating an electrical signal that identifies XY coordinates. The coordinates are then sent to the computer. Capacitive touchscreens use a screen that is coated with a conductive material. An electrical current is then run through the material. When something conductive touches the screen, such as a finger, small sensors identify the touch and generate XY coordinates. Capacitive touchscreens are used on smartphones, tablets, and some laptops. But because they require a conductive touch, a non-conductive object, such as gloves or plastic, can't be used to tap the screen. Resistive touchscreens are typically used for airport or library kiosks. Because they require only pressure, any rigid object can be used to tap the screen. Now, signals generated by input devices need to be analyzed.
I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you for listening and watching. Please tap the like button and also subscribe to our channel. Comment. We will always and will continue to bring you more lessons. Thank you and God bless you.